Hello there and welcome to this arty corner of mine on YouTube. I'm Angela and I love to draw and I love to encourage others to draw and share hints and tips and my thoughts, my method, even blathering about my day and problems, because we all have them, and sometimes when you share things with people it doesn't feel that you're alone in the world. Either I or other people who are going through similar things or even other things. But it's a way of connecting, isn't it? And art certainly is a way of doing that. And being creative is a way of connecting with yourself, but also with other people. Why am I saying that? I have no idea. I don't do these with a script, you know. I really don't. I may have an idea of what I'm going to do, but as far as it goes. So you're all most welcome here, and it's lovely to have you here. Thank you once again for all the lovely comments. For those who joined me on yesterday's premiere, yesterday being Wednesday the 20th of September. Today is Thursday the 21st of September and it's cloudy. There's a bit of bright light here because the sun's peeking out through a hole in the clouds. But it's not long ago we had an absolute torrential downpour and it's been dry up until that point as far as I know. So with no further ado, let's get to it. So this is what I did in my previous video, just a seed pod here. Which is quite appropriate because we're not far off the autumn equinox. That's Saturday this year. Sort of like it's not fixed to the 21st because it's determined astronomically when the sun enters Libra? No. Yes, Libra, I think. I could be wrong. We're in Virgo now, so yeah, when the sun enters Libra. So it's not fixed, so that's a nice thing. So Saturday. So but I used some gold on this, and seed pods are quite appropriate as we're getting close to autumn. And lovely Trevor Harris in the chat last night said this reminded her of the seeds, or the seed head, the berries rather, of Lords and Ladies, which is the wild arum. And I'm not sure if it's cuckoo pint it's called as well. I think so. It's got a couple of names and they do look a bit like this, all gathered around the central stem, but they're bright red, absolutely bright red. Let me just do the autofocus. There we go, that'll stay in place now. And I said on the inside I was going to do some drawing in the next video. So I've got this lovely, wonderfully grungy, sort of like worn metallic, sort of almost rusty and dusty kind of texture. I could use black on this, but I am not. I am going to use a white gel pen. This is a Pentel hybrid gel grip. It happens to be permanent, so it's not affected by water, which is unlike the Sakuras, and I prefer that if I decide to add any water-based medium, which I'm not going to. And I thought today I'd tackle borders on two sides, one on this side and one over here, so facing. And on this one, I did show you yesterday, let me just bring this over. These here are very stylized laburnum flowers. I've got some variations over here because you know me, I'm not going to stick with one thing. Oh, these are quite cute and dainty. I haven't quite worked on those enough yet for me to be comfortable with. I do like these as sort of seeds with little leaves behind them, so I may use those. But these are the buds of laburnum flowers, but they do look a lot like seed pods, so I might use those on the other side in some way. But I thought the flowers would be quite nice because they are still out. So, but it was a really weird laburnum I saw. It wasn't growing as a tree, it was growing along the ground. I know. We went, ooh, didn't know laburnum could grow like that. Well, apparently there are varieties that may very well do that, or that are similar. I say we, my older sister and I, when we visited Dufferin Gardens, we went, that looks like laburnum, but it's not a ground growing plant, but it looks like laburnum. And I think the tag on it said laburnum. I thought, that's not one we've seen. It's normally quite tree-like. Anyway, how are we going to draw these? So my first job, though, is I am going to get a pencil, a ruler, and I'm going to draw some borders in that I can contain my design vaguely within, So I don't know how much this is, I'll work it out now, I'll measure it. I think it's about 2 centimetres, 2.5. Yeah, yeah, 2 centimetres, which is just a bit under an inch. But that gives me some wiggle room so I can flow outside it. It's just a guide for me. Let me check I've got that the right way up. I have now. Always check you've got things the right way up. And then I'm just going to start by drawing a laburnum flower at the bottom. And this is how I'm going to draw this one, these today. So I am going to start with, this'll work, yes it does. And I hope it shows up. I'm hoping it shows up. If not, I'm going to resort to something else. It's a kind of teardrop shape, but the top of it's sort of like curving over and towards the middle of the flower. We'll do another one on the other side. And they can sort of nest behind each other, or they can be, you can put them side to side. And in the middle there, I'm just going to put the hint of either the centre of the flower or a tiny petal behind them. And then from the sides, I'm going to draw a kind of heart shape, like so. I'm just going to add some extra ink. Actually I need to leave that to dry, because when it's damp you'll shift it. I've got a bit of space at the bottom here, but I'll worry about that in a moment. So I want to space them up here, but I do want them at slightly different angles, I think. I'm not going to have them necessarily touching, fairly close together. And even though these lines appear very light, as the pen dries, they do become more opaque. As you can see with the one at the bottom, now it's dried, it's much more clearer, more visible than this one. So let's go over this way, trying to tidy my lines up as I go, trying to draw quite slowly. Me, draw slowly, don't be silly. So another one here. Like so. A bit in the middle again. And then see if I can get my hand out the way. You'll see the flower on the slant, but that's okay. So a kind of heart shape, but without the point at the bottom. They're disappearing behind these little inner petals, if that's what they are. I think they are. I think I'll get another one, maybe 2 in, depending on how carefully I squidge them in. Oh, this is a little one. They're getting further away from me and I'm getting them smaller and smaller, which is actually what would happen on a plant. The ones at the bottom would be big and the ones towards the top would be smaller. So let's stick with that idea. Like so. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to draw in a stem that will connect them. And I'm just going to kind of carry on drawing the line. So it's got that appearance that it's not completely disconnected. So this one perhaps would carry on here and would go around that way and that way to there. And then perhaps this one could almost go on its own little stem, I think. What's that? Who says they can't do that? I never have. We've got one there. So that's beginning to work. Now I do want to fill this space up here. Okay, come on. Let's just tidy up some of these lines, Angela. The thing I dislike about gel pens is I can't always get things really nice and neat with them. But I know if I'm patient and let it dry fully, I should be able to draw over the top of it. I'm not entirely sure I can. Okay, so I do want to fill this in, and I do want to add some leaves. So I think I'm going to add leaves that are this kind of shape and make it a nice border. These I do like drawing this kind of leaf to fill a space in, and I did use this idea in a video where it was a verdant border, I think it was, and filled things in really intensely with this kind of pattern. I suppose it's a variation of flux, I think, in Zentangle terms, but it is just lovely because the shapes of these petals will just fill in any area beautifully. Oh, I think so. And I think you just have to follow your instinct as to where you want them to go and not overthink it. Because wherever there's a gap, we can go in at a different angle or direction and fill it in quite nicely. It's the wonderful thing about this particular kind of filler pattern. It's one I definitely have up my sleeve, as it were, for filling in very organic patterns and shapes. I'd prefer it to anything that's a bit, well, I don't know, it depends what mood I'm in, I think. Sometimes I like to use more geometric patterns. But today I am just in the mood for quite organic. And even if I use this pattern lots and lots of times, it's there really as a filler pattern more than anything else. And it just seems to work really nicely. So I'm just touching areas up where I haven't been too good with the pen. And I'm also filling in the blank space. So here I'm going to just put, almost like there's a couple of leaves behind this. I haven't done a good job there at all. It'll be fine. Stop fussing, Angela. It'll be fine. So at the top here, I'm going to carry on with these shapes and have them curving around and filling that area in. But I'm going to also have them coming around this way and this way, just to fill over the top of the flower, because who says I can't? And then I'll switch it round, going in a different direction, so we're taking the leaves to the edge of the paper then. Like this, and I will fill in those little gaps around the edge as well. And the more I work with wet ink, the more likely it is for the white ink to become stained with some of the distress inks. But I think that'll work quite nicely because it'll add a variation in colour here. So I'm just going to work up this way and see where we end up with that. A little bit there that I can just fill in. Perhaps these little bits I'll fill in as well, because that will make a bit more sense. Mostly got rid of all the pencil line as well. Okay, so let's go here and just get all of this just kind of, just fill that in, that one there. Just going to come back and fill this little gap in here, that little one there. Put some there as well on that one. That'll be fine. Like that'll be fine, you just fill that in. Sorry if my hand's getting in the way, but I find that gel pens don't work too well for me on the edge. I tend to find they work very much better for me if I work from the pen quite vertical. I'm not a big fan of gel pens, to be honest. I prefer to use them just for highlights, but I didn't think to get some white ink out to do this with. Yeah, I was going to. But and a dip pen, but I also know that not everybody's got access to those. I just thought it'd be nice to see what happens. See if we can create something interesting here on a darker background. Of course you can. Can I hear you thinking, am I going to be adding shading to this? And highlight, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. Because that helps to bring things alive, or not just line art, but it adds that dimension and that suggestion that they're not just flat, there's something to them. I could do that with cross hatching, or the little techniques, the contour line techniques I use to add hints that there's volume or dimension to a drawing or a motif or part of one, but not with this one. Still haven't worked out how I could do that with these flowers, but there is this here. Okay, now that needs to dry, so I'm going to carry on drawing over here, and I am thinking I'd like to do, instead of flowers perhaps, is to do some, just help if you have your pencil out, Angela. Some seed pods here. Here there's the most gorgeous combination of sort of like this orangey pinky colour and the blue, and the orangey pinky is overlaying it, and you get this really interesting edge. I know. So I'm just drawing this with some stems in, where I'm going to either put seeds or buds. I'm going to do something here. I'm just creating a guide for myself so I get a pleasing arrangement that goes like this, and perhaps one that can come from down there. Let's have a look. I know what I'm going to use. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing here. Hopefully start by drawing here. No, it's dried on the end. Come on, get working. A little shape like this. Now these are going to go outside here a little bit, but I'm fine with that. So there's my little shape. It's almost like a heart shape, I suppose. And then I'm going to have a shape like this, so it's quite a rounded shape, narrower at the bottom, wider at the top, but I'm not going straight up. I'm sort of like bending this one upwards, coming back and then coming in. So this is quite a bit wider than the bottom. And then I'm going to put a dot there and complete it like that. So I'll do this one again. I'm not going to worry about drawing the stems in till I've got all of these in place. So let's have a look. This one's going to go in a very strange direction, but who says they can't? It's windblown, perhaps. And again, that line with a circular seed on the end, like so. So a kind of heart shape here, very rounded at the bottom. So these are going in all directions, however they end up being drawn, so I am not stressing about getting them all exactly the same or going in the same direction. In fact, this one is going to curve in the opposite direction, just like that. In fact, if I'd thought that earlier, we'd have had them all inside this guideline. but it's fine. And perhaps I'll just put one here as well, where I could have it going that way, but I think we'll have it a smaller one doing the same thing here, because I just think I need to fill that little bit of space in. They are showing, yes, they are showing. Okay, I've got another one here. So this one's going to be an interesting one because it may end up tucking behind just a little bit. So again, got that going on. Ooh, what have I stuck my finger in? I think I had some white, some damp white this one goes almost to the edge of the paper, but I chose to, instead of having it going off the edge of the paper, I chose to have it bending backwards like this. And I'm going to do the same kind of idea here, where I'm putting one on this stem, which will go off the page, but I'm going to have it coming towards the edge here and back round. Another one here. Now this part is definitely going to go, this bit here is going to go behind that bottom one, but that was awkward. Went off right off the edge, but recovered. Okay, another one here. I need to clean the ball off. No, it's okay. Pressing too hard. I am very heavy-handed with pens, and I forget when I'm using gel pens I need to be less heavy-handed. See, that one's gone in the opposite direction now, so it breaks up that pattern kind of and gives a different kind of feeling to the whole shebang, as it were. Just adjusted that angle there so I can get one of these seeds in rather nicely just here. Seeds in a leaf, or a berry in a leaf, that's what I'm thinking of them as. You can see here how much whiter it's dried, can't you? I'm just going to have a little baby one there. Okay, so now, and perhaps I could have a baby one here just to finish it off as well. Because who says I can't? I don't, I have to have them all the same. So I'm going to start from the top here, and I'm going to draw one side of my stem in, stop when it comes to the break, and then go up to that particular leaf, seed pod, whatever we want to call it, and keep carrying on down. Oh, I've missed one out there, it's okay. It'll be fine. Down here. Again, I'm just pressing too hard. Forget. I think I get so excited about things, I forget. So engrossed in shapes I'm creating. I forget what I'm supposed to be doing. And then down to the end. So that's one side done. So I'm just going to do the other side now, starting with this one here, all the way down until we get to where the one below branches. Let's clean my pen off on the back of my hand, because that's what the back of my hand seems to be for these days. Fine. Well, I can see the graphite underneath here, but if it stays there, it stays there. If I can't get rid of it, then so be it. Hopefully as this dries, it'll disguise the graphite. So there's that one. And just have that one just joining there. Okay, so I need to leave this to dry for a little while. Just looking where my lines are particularly sketchy, or not so good. Adding a bit more ink to them. Right, stop fussing, Angela. Let's go back to the other one. First job. Ooh, sorry if that's a bit noisy. Eraser. Let's get rid of any pencil that is still visible. Not a lot on this side because there was only along the edge there. So I'm going to now have a look at where I need to perhaps add just a bit more white ink, just to, because I have erased some of it up, just to touch this up, and where spaces need to be filled a bit better, neatened up. Doesn't take long to do, but it's worth taking that extra bit of time to do, I think, because can be a bit of a perfectionist. I know I'm not going to get a perfect finish with a gel pen, because me and gel pens, as I've said already, are not the best of buddies generally, but I can get the best I can, and then the little gaps will mostly disappear and nobody will really notice them anyway. This is the kind of thing I'd love on the edge of a journal page. Imagine it sort of like without any colour on the background, you could add your own colour. That'd be fun. Brain ticking now. I don't know if you get any more words out of me. There's something whirring around inside. Shall see. There we go. So that's all nice there now. Let's have a look here. I think that's all dry on this side. We'll soon find out as I erase my pencil. Yeah, it's lost some here. They've gone a bit ghostly. Here you can see the white being picked up on my eraser, but that's not a problem. Just like over there, I'll just go back in and redraw because what's left is dry. In fact, that would be nice if I did want something very ghostly on a page, very ghostly and subtle. Quite cool. Must remember that. I don't want these that ghostly. Again, it's worthwhile doing, even though it takes a little bit of time to go over. It is worth it for the end result. And of course, places where you've made little mistakes will be less visible because they'll be ghostly, ghost-like, almost invisible. Quite happy for the stem to be quite ghostly, but these parts I would really like them to be quite visible. The top here, they've stayed okay. So there are some areas of the stem where I would like to perhaps define it a bit more. And down here. Yeah, definitely needs some more definition, doesn't it? Because the background's quite light as well. But we're going to sort this out in a moment. I'm just giving a chance for the other side to dry before I go back to it. There we go. I think that'll do. I think I'll just add a bit more there. And that'll do. So these are my two sides. They're quite different in some ways. This has got a very sharp defined edge and this one's a bit more organic. But they sort of like, I don't want every page the same, you know? And then I've got space on the back to do something else. And this then I could, if I was going to put it into a journal, I could sew a signature of paper to write on or other things in there, or put a couple of sheets like this together to create a little booklet, I suppose. Right. Faber-Castell Pitt Graphite Matte Pencil. It's a 4B, and I have a cute little tortillon here. So let's start by adding some shading, because this will be darker than the colours. But I'm going to start at the base of these leaves here and the stem, top and bottom, just the base of these leaves. And let's see how this looks. So cheeky little blend out. Trying not to go over the white line, but if it does, it does. No, it's working with it. Because I haven't done this before, I don't think. I'm almost positive I won't have. But perhaps a little bit at the top as well, just to help to define these shapes. Got one here and there. I think a little bit at the top isn't just needed. And perhaps I need to be a bit firmer with them, graphite, when I add it, but hopefully the colour will still shine through, just a bit more darker toned. Oh, I haven't done that one very well. Let's have a look there. Yeah, the colour's still visible in the patterns, so I'm going to put some at the bottom of this, here and here, and around here. So I'm going around the outside edge of these. I'll put some in the middle as well, perhaps some around the very outside edge of the petal. Not too much. I don't want to fill it all with graphite. I just want to create some more shady areas to give a feeling of dimension. Again, it's part of that pattern. So you can see the difference, hopefully, that's made there compared to these others. But I keep going, working a lot quicker than I have done. So now I've worked out what I want to do, I can carry on and add graphite to all these leaves. I think I'll do the leaves first. I'll come back and do the flowers afterwards. Leaves and stems. Here. Of course, I could have added colour to this with the distress inks that I used, but then I'd lose all that lovely watery wonderfulness, wouldn't I? I don't want to lose that. I like it too much. Okay, nearly done. And we'll just come back then and just to ease this into the paper, blend it, soften it. Oh, that one goes that way, that way, that way. Decided just to add the graphite at the bottom of the leaf because I think top and bottom it just adds too much graphite and we lose some of that colour. Just thought at the bottom might be a better idea, which is fine because you can change your mind on things. That's why I didn't do all of them first, and I could make that adjustment as I was going along. And the colour at the bottom is so dark. I don't think people will really notice too much anyway that I've done something a bit different. You and I know, so it's our secret, okay? Just that little bit there. And if it goes over on the white ink, I'm not worried. That adds to the shadow and the interest as well. There, so that stands out a bit more. So let's go here now. And I may just use sort of like my own discretion how far and where I put shadow or shade on these. whichever you prefer to use. Especially where I've got such a lovely light colour here, is that lovely orange. I don't want to obscure, or peach colour, I don't want to obscure that too much. But I still want to get some shading going on so that we've got a feeling of volume and life to this. This one's got this beautiful, beautiful texture. There's just something so lovely about the randomness of this splattered water or sprayed water, the water staining we've got. And I really do enjoy that. I don't know why, I just do. Sometimes you can't explain why you like something, you just know you do. It just makes you smile, or, you know, it's just something you think, I like. You just know. Do you have to give reasons for everything you like? Probably not. Cats, I like them because they're individual. They're pains at times. They're cute, they're funny, they're furry. They're incredibly loving. Well, all the ones I've had have been. And good companions. And they all had a sense that when I was unwell, whether it was physically, emotionally or mentally, they'd stick with me through those times in a way that I found that humans can abandon you, as it were. Right, I've got two white pencils here. I couldn't find a white, the white charcoal, but I'm just going to add hints of white here as highlights, just to help to bring that out. This is a DeviantArt drawing pencil, and it's in Chinese white because they do a range of drawing pencils in all kinds of colours. I just wanted the white and the black here. And if I lose some of the colour now, well, so be it. But I don't think I'm going to too much, to be honest with you. I think this will be okay. So I'm not going to fill in all the highlights, all the highlighted area with bright white. I just want to brighten things up that little bit, just to help to bring some shape and some interest here. Again, just to lighten it up, brighten it up, help it stand out. I could have done this with, and I may very well come back with the white gel pen and add some of my dotty bits for really bright highlights. I may not. Chances are it'll be not. This pencil, they can be quite opaque, these drawing pencils, but here I'm quite happy with the highlights I'm just adding here. The extra bit of white that just lightens up the colours underneath and gives that contrast between the colour and the graphite. In fact, if anything, I could have just put the highlights on, but I quite like using the graphite because it intensifies that contrast. I do like high contrast in work, even in colours and things. There's something about it. It's my expression of myself. Even if I'm doing monochrome, the monochrome colours are, which is essentially what I'm doing here to a degree, but they really do stand out. So there's that one. So we've got flowers and things there. I'll come back to that in a moment. This one, I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm going to put some shading at the base, and I think at the top of these, because I've got enough space to make that little bit of difference, haven't I? And have the lighter area in between, where perhaps a bit more on the lower side of these leaves and seeds or berries or whatever they are. Who knows? Just see. Just a little bit more on the bottom than the top. Turn around. Bit there. Bit there. Oh, this is now the bottom edge. That'll be the left edge, so that's what we're going to take as the bottom. I'm getting a bit more exuberant here with my addition of shading, but I'm fine with that. Don't know whether I'm going to do anything at all with the stems here. I'll decide that in a moment. Just work on these first and see how it works out. Perhaps a bit more there, and around there. Okay, time for just buffing it in. Now I let my stems here and where the seed pods are grow quite organically. So, oh yeah, I've got enough graphite on this tortillon to add it there. I hadn't realised I hadn't put any graphite in that particular support system at the bottom of these. I should know the name of them, but I don't. It's long gone in memory. It might come back. Bit there. Subtle, isn't it? It's quite subtle apart on the lighter colours, but it does make that difference. I think so. Don't know whether it's more or less visible on the camera than it is to my eyes. I have a sneaky suspicion that things aren't always as visible on camera as they are. That actually has worked really, really quite nicely. So I'm going to add some highlights where I want highlights. Just to bring some lightness back here, and again it's that contrast that I'm looking for. Because it just works nicely. Didn't do a very good job there of adding that one, got a bit ham-handed, ham-fisted, heavy-handed even. Don't know if you know the expression ham-fisted, it means clumsy, awkward. You do something without any finesse really. So that's worked quite nicely. I think the stem I'm just going to add some lightish white to, just to fill it in and make it feel like there's some substance to it. It's very ghostly, this. Perhaps these seeds hatch into ghosts ready for Halloween. That'll be fun. Okay, now this one hasn't got the background pattern like the other one, has it? As in, this is all patterned, so it's like we've got almost a, like metalwork, a trellis or something like that here. This one hasn't got that. So I am going to add some drop shadows around these, around the outside, to make it look like they're not flat on the paper, that they're floating above the paper. Like this is, it's just there as the background. So I'm going to the left and bottom of these just to add that, and it'll help to define these on the paper as well. It'll add that contrast between the paper and these seed heads, just to help them stand out that little bit more, I think. So I'm nearly done. Oh, except, we need some sparkle, surely. How can I leave something without sparkle? I'll think about that. I may not. So again, it's left and bottom, so I may just put the shadow on either side of the stem, to be honest, but stick to left and bottom of these just to help them to stand out. from this coloured background and see if that will lift everything. So again, it's going to be a case of just working this in, and I'm doing it in a way that the tip of the tortillon is pointed towards the line, because I want to keep most of the shading around there. I could put a little bit more in these areas where the stem joins, because that would make some kind of sense. And I'm just gradually working my way up and round. It's just about moving this into the paper so it won't smudge easily, but blending it out so we don't have a harsh, sharp line on the edge of the shadow. I want it soft. Obviously, if you prefer a sharper edge shadow, leave it sharper. But I just want that suggestion, that hint. And if I need to, I will go back with my pencil and just... Oh, I haven't put any up here. What could I miss up here? In fact, I might just go back and just add an extra bit of shadow here in these nooks and crannies. Nooks. Yeah, there's sort of like little nooks between the branches or the stems. And just add that extra bit of contrast there just to help lift this up, lift this out. There we go. I go back here, here. Just turn this way so I can attack this side with the edge of the tortillon. There we go. And that stands out. That's made a difference, hasn't it? There's that hint of darkness. I am tempted just to add a bit more lightness in places, just to help with that as well. Can see where perhaps some lightness is needed. There's some extra darkness needed here, and I'm hoping there'll be enough. No, there's not enough on my tortillon, so I can do that with some extra graphite. This one will need an extra bit as well because it's looking a bit insipid now. It's okay. Just go back and add some white in, just for that contrast again. You can still see the colour through it, so this is my work for today. Well, not all of it, but what I'm going to do here. So here I'm just going to pop my... Never forget to put your initials on your work or sign it. So I am just going to have mine dangling there. I do want to add some sparkle on this one anyway. I've got this silver hybrid or dual metallic hybrid gel pen from Pentel. I used the gold one yesterday, so I'm going to use silver on this one, because I just think it'll tie in with the white and ghostly look. I must have had an inkling that I was going to do this, but I just think it will... Well, it ties it in then with the front cover, doesn't it, a bit? You know, I'm not overdoing it, I'm just putting a few area, you know, few spots in here and there, just to groups of 3, just to add something into the areas and something a little bit of interest. So there we go, so there's the sparklies. It's very subtle. And on here, think I'm going to put some on top of the centre of the flower. Just there, just 3 on each. There we go. And then I'm definitely going to show you that one if I can get the light. Let me take the glasses off so I can see the screen. And just see the little sparkles there. And over here as well. Little bright pink pinpricks. They will take a little while to dry. So I'm going to say thank you for joining me today. I shall put my tools down here. It's a reminder of what I've used. Didn't use that one. It's a Graphitint white. And just say thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you have a go at trying borders like this yourself and creating spaces to either draw in again, or using your drawings, or to create nice pages if you keep a journal or a diary of some kind, to decorate the edges yourself. Even if you don't write that day, you've done something in it, I think is nice. But if you're creating your own junk journal-ish kind of thing, you can make your own ephemera this way as well, or your own bits and bobs for it. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again. Until then, take care and be creative. Bye for now. Bye all.